camp is wrapped up. We're into in-season schedule. Talk to us a little bit how the defense has gone overall, and then we'll open up for questions.
It's been going pretty good. We've had obviously some good days, some bad days. The roller coaster thing. When you have a young defense, you tend to have some ups and some downs with those guys. Trying to get them to play the same way every day has been our goal, and that's what we're trying to get accomplished. Through camp, though, we had some really, really good days and we had some bad days. So just trying to get some consistency with those guys has been the key with this young defense.
Got a lot of new names and faces on that defensive line, some younger names and faces. Are there some guys that have kind of, stepped forward and taken that step that you were hoping to see during camp?
Yeah, a guy like T.J. Bush has really shown that he is ready to play and ready to contribute. He's been probably the most notable young guy that has taken a step forward. And it's been really good watching his development. He obviously came in and he had the size and the strength, but also the football IQ is really what has set him apart from some of the other freshmen.
As a true freshman, how difficult is it for them to be able to step right in day one and pretty much be ready to go?
It's extremely difficult, especially with a line position where there's O-line or D-line. The physical nature of it. You think about it, an 18-year-old, he's going to be going against some 22-year-olds. So the physical part is one, but then also the mental part is another thing. So some guys they may be mentally ready, they're not physically ready. He kind of has a little bit of both, which is very unique. So it's like I said, it's been a good surprise for us.
You have the depth that you would like to have. Do you have enough depth? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Right now, we're still trying to develop a couple more guys as kind of depth guys. You're never gonna say we have enough because injuries come up and injuries happen. But we're working and growing towards it every day. Mm-hmm.
Kendy's kind of the known commodity for your group, especially on the interior. How has he kind of stepped into this leadership role, which is a little new for him this season?
It is, and me and him has had multiple conversations about it because last year you had a bunch of guys on the defense that were kind of veteran guys that he could lean on, so he didn't have to say much or do much. He just kind of did, led by example kind of guy, and we've been having our talks about you got to become more vocal, things like that, and that's not his strong suit. So he's working at it, and he's getting better at it. He's grabbing some of those young guys and kind of, taking them under his wing a little bit.
What about the rest of the interior of the line? I mean, you look at a couple guys that we're familiar with. Have they been able to kind of step into to fill in some of those gaps from the departures?
The biggest surprise has been Bryce Dixon. He probably lost somewhere around 20 pounds. He's moving better. He's gotten stronger. He's changed his body. He's a guy that really, really had a good camp. In the spring, we were a little shaky on him, and then we challenged him to do some things differently, and he stepped up and he's done it. And obviously having Jay Hardy back, who he'll look a little different now. He's I think 295. I think last year he played at 330. So he'll be another guy that you'll see. He's done some things with his body and he's moving better, and so we have some good depth in there. We just got to continue to develop a couple more guys.
Chris Body, one of those guys that's in that group, and is he pushing for playing time?
So him and Kendi are kind of 1A and 1B, and it's good to have a guy who knows all the techniques, knows all the fundamentals. He's a little bit smaller than Kendi, but man, he's electric in the pass rush, and he's a nice addition to have. He's a guy that you don't worry about whether he's in there or Kendi's in there. It's another solid depth guy.
Are you at a point, ending fall camp and looking into that first opponent, are you at a point where you're happy with where the defensive line is, or is it every year that you are kind of the same, like, oh, I wish we had more time, or is it like being in a new program and new guys, it's a little different this year?
It is a little different, mainly because of when you have a freshman that's in the rotation that's playing a lot, you have to cover everything because there's things that they haven't seen. Whereas a guy like Kendi Charles has seen enough blocks and enough offenses in front of him that he can make adjustments and he can tell me what's going on. It's a little worrisome with a freshman in there because his eyes hadn't been conditioned like some of those older guys. So, yeah, I mean, you do feel good coming out of camp, but it's still the unknowns with a freshman. How is he going to be when this place is packed and it's loud and he looks up? You know, it's we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What about Greg Carroll, a transfer from Georgia Tech? How has he adjusted to the new system, and is he pushing for playing time as well?
He is. Him and T.J. Bush are kind of 1A and 1B guys, and you know, when one's not in, the other one will be in. And we have another freshman, Larry Jones, who has really shown flashes this camp. Extremely athletic, very raw, very talented. But the same as TJ, he has a long way to go mentally. TJ's obviously ahead of him as far as the football IQ aspect, but he's a guy that can really be special.
This defense as a whole, how have you been able to assess them throughout camp, going against an offense that is dealing with injuries, is dealing with rotating quarterbacks and trying to figure out some things for its own?
It's been tough, one, because the things that we're seeing from our offense is not what you're going to see from other teams in this league. So we're trying to prepare them for everything. But obviously knowing we're not going to see a whole lot of option football, it's been pretty good, getting our eyes trained and all those things. Our offense presents a lot of challenges for people. And obviously challenges for us as well, because there's certain defenses we just can't run against them. It wouldn't make sense. So it's been good to see the way they handle some of those things that they may not ever see again. But we try to grade everything off of effort and how hard we play getting to the ball, because you can overcome a lot of the things that you're seeing if you're doing those.
That said, are you excited to get into some opponent prep here this week?
Absolutely. I've seen enough crazy blocks and option schemes to last a lifetime. So it's nice to see some normal football.
I know Coach Krantz helping you with that joker position, but they also need to blend in well with your unit up front.
Correct.
Who are some guys there? I know like Brian's look good, and what about Bryson and Mayan and some of those other guys?
CJ Bazile and Brian Whitehead have really shown that those two guys are ready to play and will contribute a lot. We're kind of in the same boat at that position, trying to establish a third guy and some more depth in that area. So it's been Donovan Dozier, Mayan Conaway, and Bryson Jennings. Those guys are battling for that third spot, and it's been a competition. So it's been really fun to see those guys work and compete every day.
In years past here with the previous staff, there was always something it seemed like that they focused on throughout camp. I think last year it was turnovers and just trying to take the ball. What are maybe one or two things that you're stressing with this unit that you think that they can really be good at or need to be good at?
There's two things that we stress every day. Is we want to get 3 to 4 turnovers every day. We've stressed that, and also we want to eliminate all the loafs, because if you can overcome a mistake with how hard you play, it's something that you just can't coach. Those guys playing hard and getting to the ball and sprinting to the football, there's not a scheme in the world that will beat that. So that's the thing we've tried to preach to them, is if we're not loafing, we're getting the guy down. If we get guys running to the ball.
Go ahead.
You talked about the importance of consistency with your younger guys. Is that something you've seen really improve over the course of fall camp?
With certain guys, definitely. With TJ Bush, he struggled that first week, and then the second and third weeks of camp, I started to see some consistency. You got guys like Brylan Green in the back end. He's been another one who's just became more and more consistent. We're a young defense. You got some corners. Hopkins and then Marquise Bell, those guys, seeing their growth and development. We are a really young defense that we're really talented. So consistency is going to be very important for those guys.
You're working with some new fresh faces in terms of players, but also in terms of coaches on the defensive staff.
Correct.
First fall camp with some of them. How would you say you guys have gelled? How do you go about kind of preparing for what your responsibilities will be like on a game day when you haven't experienced it?
It's been great. I've worked with Fairball and some of those guys, Coach Peruta, Coach Gallagher. So we kind of keep a similar structure to what we've done in the past. And, by having Coach Waits in there and Coach Lynham and Coach Krantz, it's been great. We get along great, and we all kind of collab to put this thing together.
Are you a guy that on game day you like to be up in the box, or do you want to be down in front of the guys?
No,
face to face?
I'll be definitely on the field. Yeah, I got to be hands on. Me and Coach Krantz will probably be on the field. So.